Juba here from Cigcola Labs. Today we're going to go through the video from the activation day, experiment number 1. If you're just joining us for the first time, Cigcola Labs is a project, a content series about building an advertising agency from zero. Experiment number 1 is our first activation in public, in where we engage with audiences to guess the number of origami stars in this jar, which is the total 894. If any of the subscribers from the day are watching, you all had a great idea. It isn't easy. Some people picked up the jar, some people looked at the jar, some people were way over, some people were way under, but that's the fun of the experiment. The whole point is to prove that with very little resources, we can create interesting, engaging moments in time and take these ideas and scale them into versatile, larger campaigns for any sort of product or service. And that's the entire point of what we're doing here. So let's go through this video. Let's take a look at what happened, what went down, any little interesting points about the location, the geography, the participants, and we'll just go through step by step. So it's going to be a little bit longer of a video. If you want to know more about the project, please look in the description. There'll be everything there, from an interview that was done on the street, all the behind the scenes, and then we're working on experiment 2 right away. And for any of the subscribers who are joining us from this day, look into the community section on the YouTube channel. There's always going to be a little bit of a recap there and some hints for the next up experiments. So let's get into it. Have a nice day. Bye. I hope you win.
Oh, in my wallet.
Yeah. Welcome. So we started off the day with a little bit of a teaser clip, just showing a couple of people who showed up to play the game. They're really excited. And, at this point, this was very early on in the day. There wasn't really much going on. It was around 11 a.m. to 12 on a Saturday. So it's starting to get a little bit busy. And, those were the first 2 people that played, really jolly, really happy, and just walked away, feeling great about it. So let's continue. The Cigcola Labs, experiments and attention. This is how we started. So we posted up in this area near the bus loop, and then if you see where the camera pans in the background over there, which I think there'll be a little cut to, is the train station. I thought this was really great. The Repent Jesus is the only savior sign. If you know any of my other work at Cigcola.com, Cigcola Inc., I'm an avid photographer, and there's a really good shot I have of this man in Times Square who pretty much has the same sign. So maybe that's a sign in itself. I don't know, but let's keep talking about this area. So this is in Metrotown Burnaby. You have the train station on one side, you have the bus station on the other. And what I thought was interesting about the location was that you had this little corridor right here where I set up the table. On the left, you're going to see the table set up, and you have the background over here with all the people walking from the train station across the crosswalk. So they kind of have to pass through this table. And on the table, you have the jar of stars over here. And then you have the pens hooked to the table. And then you have the guest cards. And you have the how to play, right? So over here, I'm trying to get a pen marker. Yeah, there we go. So we have how to play over there. And this how to play is something I would describe when people showed up to the desk. What are we doing here? How to actually play, what you're going to be submitting. And if you read it, the how to play is subscribe at Cigcola Labs, take a guest card, fill out your name, your email, your guess, and then follow for an announcement. Now, one thing that I learned is that the Cigcola Labs written here was actually a little bit difficult for people to type into their phone. And usually people are used to, I guess, maybe more of an Instagram style where you just type in the handle. So Cigcola Labs. But on YouTube, you have to actually put the @ symbol. You have to write this little @ symbol, or the channel doesn't show up. It shows a whole bunch of videos. So I was learning something too, that next time, either we're going to put a QR code with @Cigcola Labs underneath, or we're going to write it very, very legibly so people can see it, and it just has to be bigger. Another thing that we came up with on the fly actually was that one of the participants didn't have a YouTube account. So she asked, do you have Instagram? And we created an Instagram account just for that, like pretty much 30 minutes before going live here. And I still haven't decided how to use that yet, but it's just good to know that there was a secondary portion of that, that sign up. So let's keep going. How do you play here?
Guess the number in the jar, win $25. 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 It's free to play.
Free to play.
Yeah. So
that was our first like video shot of somebody just coming to play. Besides the two people who came before, they were the first two, and you can see in the box they'd already had their guesses. Now, standing there on the street corner, having to say, guess what's in the jar, guess what's in the jar, that was way out of my comfort zone. And, it was a big lesson in humility to just put yourself out there, because there was a target here and a goal and I can see like where we're going with this concept, and I just made myself do it, and I just pushed it through, and everybody who came to come and visit the booth and play was super friendly and engaging and fun and interested and curious, and that made it all worth it. So saying it's free to play to some people actually brought them in, and this lovely young lady came to play first, and then these two in the back, they came to play, and you'll hear me in the clip explaining exactly how to play and what to do, and they're just they're with it. So take a listen.
All you have to do is show me you subscribe to the channel, and then you can fill out a card and put your guess.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay, really cool. Just really happy and having a day, right? It's Saturday. You're at the mall. Like, why not? Why not step down and play? And one of the things, obviously, that is not explained here is the table contents are not the most beautiful contents. Like, this was not a beauty contest. If you watch the behind the scenes videos, the whole concept here was to make this activation for cheap. I tried to do it for free. If you're watching the behind the scenes, I had a bag of shredded paper. I got this water jug for free. I got the box in where all the people put the guesses in for free, and I was trying to make it for as little as possible. So I'm just wondering now down the line, when it actually looks nice, how are people going to react? But that's something that we want to work towards, right? We want this content series to grow and show these really tough steps of thinking outside of the box and thinking about how to get people engaged for very little, because when we get more, we're going to make it count. So let's continue. Yes, hit. Put it in.
Awesome.
So right there is really important. Subscribing to the channel, that's really important. That is what our currency was to play. Subscribe on YouTube, and then you get to play, right? And I also requested people's emails so that we can put those emails together and let them know if they won, or let them know when the next activation is. And they're always free to unsubscribe. It's just, hey, your name, your email, and your guess, it goes in the box. Let's see who wins. I've yet to hear from the winner. Mason, if you're watching this, like, hit me up. I owe you your $25. I bugged you on the street for it, so you might as well come and get it. But this is how you build up rapport. This is how you build up trust. This is how you build up an audience and how you build up a following for very little, right? So in total, we had 22 subscribers. And from those 22 subscribers, only one left. And a few people have seen these other videos, and now it's starting to catch on and slowly roll on. And there's a lot of likes and a lot of engagement, and it's great. And we're doing some live feeds, and now we're doing recaps like I'm doing now. So this is the whole experiment. This is everything about getting this thing running and getting it live and getting it to a place where it's going to just grow organically. Right now, I'm trying to find other sponsors, but we'll talk about that later on. So you saw how she put her phone. Hey, I subscribed, and you'll see that later on in the video. I'll point it out because that was really important for me. That was the transactional exchange. You subscribe and you check out what I'm doing, and then you can play the game and you can guess, and then I will compensate you if you come close to the guess, right? So Mason, get in touch with me for that. Get in touch with me for that. So here
Guess
they
what's
are
in the
writing
jar?
their names. As they were writing their names, more people came up, and I'm here explaining like exactly what we're doing, how to do it, how to play the game. It was really cool. It was just cool to see people coming up and wanting to play this game. So let's listen to how we're pitching them. I'm just going to rewind here so you can see the little transition. Here she is showing me that she subscribed. Then you'll see them writing, and as they're writing, this group of kids comes up as well.
Awesome. Guess what's in the jar? And the closest person gets $25. Okay, so once they're done, if you want to get a head start, what we're doing is we're starting an advertising agency from zero. You're the first person.
So that was a really important point for me, is to stress as the day went on, like the concept behind this, like what we're doing here, because I want that story to resonate with people. I want them to follow along this journey. I was at experiment 1. I was at experiment 8. I won the live stream of the candle, melting, or the photograph, or whatever we end up doing, which we call experiments in attention. We are just here to prove that attention, real organic attention, is earned, and we're not just going to go and buy a bunch of ads, because that's not what we do. We're a service, right? So let's continue. Here's really interesting. Picked up the jar, looked at it, didn't ask. I didn't care. There was no don't touch the jar. There was no rules. There was nothing. And that's part of the experiment, is the psychology of people, like what they think. Are there boundaries? Can I just go and grab this guy's stuff off the table? Like, he's here in public, he's in the way, he's on the street exclaiming that, guess what's in the jar? Why can't I touch it? Why can't I pick it up? And I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. I'm just going to rewind a bit, because he was the first person who did that. And that was really great to see, because I'm learning a lot too. I learned that somebody is ready to pick up the jar. And maybe next time I'll have people touching things, or if I don't want them touching things, I will put a sign that says do not touch, or put it in a case where they can't touch it, right? So I'm learning a lot about all these little things. This isn't hey, there's a booth here with people here and it's a very directed type of activation. It's completely a free-for-all, right? So how far can somebody take it to find out how many stars are in the jar? What if somebody picked it up and broke it and counted it on the ground? Would I have, said no? If you know me, that would have been honestly the best thing that ever could have happened to me for this activation, because it's so brand new. But now that I know there are boundaries or not boundaries, I'm going to work on being able to direct more attention into what that exchange is, so we can build this channel. So here it is. Watch him again. He picks it up.
Agency from zero. You're the first person who actually touched the jar and looked at it.
Incredible. And I really like the reaction from that. And I don't know if it's directly from that or he's enjoying the game, but when I said you're the first person, that was kind of like, oh, I was the first that's interesting. And I hope he thought about that later on, because he took an extra step to figure out what's in this jar. Looking at the jar, counting maybe rows or counting rings, like wanting to find out how many. And nobody said you could or couldn't do that. And that's a really good lesson in life, is nobody's saying you can or can't do. I understand there are some rules, associated with life, but that's just a really good little lesson right there. So let's continue.
Would you like to play?
Let me think.
Do you have YouTube?
Yes, I do.
So all you have to do is subscribe to our channel, and then you can make a guess. And the person who's closest will win $25.
Now I'm waiting for my bus.
So while you wait for the bus, why don't you play?
No, thank you.
So really interesting thing here is always be closing, right? There's a really great movie called Boiler Room, and if you haven't seen it, it's one of Ben Affleck's early roles, and he just talks about always be closing, like just close the sale. Yeah, I don't know if it was Ben Affleck, but in that movie, always be closing, and that's me putting myself out there. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter, what where you're from or how much money you've got in your wallet. This is a universal thing. It has nothing to do with any of those. This was supposed to be a general, generic activation in front of a mall with no specific target. If this was outside of a sports arena, maybe we'd be doing something in sports. If this was outside of a clothing store, maybe we'd be doing something in clothing, or outside of a music, like a type of concert. If it's a death metal concert, we'd be doing something in death metal. I wouldn't really expect, like insert thing here that is irrelevant to death metal outside of a death metal, but this is the mall. So we're just doing it generically and we're just having fun with the people because you never know. You never know who is watching, who got inspired, who thought that this might have been an interesting thing to participate in. And by judging or closing off or gatekeeping or not having an open mind, you just close yourself to opportunities. But also, down the line, there's going to be more directed, more, thought behind who we're targeting, but this is supposed to be general. It's number one, right? So I just kept on asking her, like, play and play and play. And while I was, trying to get this woman to play, this guy over here, he's writing his note while I believe, this woman's like, hey, we gotta go, don't, whatever. But she's also watching and it's really cool. And I wanted to point out one thing is that the people walking by behind the activation are looking. If we just go really, really slowly, look at the people who are looking. They continue to look
Now
all
I'm
the
waiting
way through.
for
I
my
believe
bus.
this girl, she gives a glance, they give a glance. The attention is there. Getting them to stop is a completely different game, but they're there and they're looking and they're curious. And throughout the day, I had many people coming up to me or looking or stopping. No, I can't. No, I don't want to. No, I'm not interested. That's fine. But I was very like happy with the results. Like I got a lot more engagement than I thought I would. So let's keep going.
So while you wait for the bus, why don't you play?
No, thank you.
So fold it in half and stick it in the box. Thanks a lot, man. Good luck. I
Saying
appreciate
goodbye.
that.
I liked this character. He showed up. He just asked me a couple questions. He said, "Oh, that's all I have to do." I said, "That's all you have to do." And he did it. And he filled it out. We didn't talk. We didn't converse. When he was finished, he dropped his box. I said, "Have a nice day." Gave a fist bump, and we were good to go. Sometimes that's, you know, you. Sometimes that's all you need. We don't have to have a conversation. I don't have to explain the contest or the concept behind it. Some people just want to play the game. They just saw it and they were gravitated towards it, so they played. This next group of people is great. They were asking a bunch of questions. They were taking the time to think about it. And what you're going to notice in this next clip is that people attract people. So this was a group of three.
Are you gonna play, man? This is the first day. You got it.
So there you got it. She just subscribed. But behind my hand on the right here was another one of their friends. And this was a group of three. And the group of three stopped. And because this group of three stopped, another group of two stopped. And then behind me, while five people were around the table sorting things out and guessing and looking at the jar, another group of people were asking me what was going on. And I'm trying to pitch on one side while keeping the eye on the table, the other while showing people how to subscribe. And that's what I wanted. I wanted this sort of chaos to learn how to kind of mediate and how to make sure that things were going the right way, right? For this experiment. Now, if someone had knocked over the glass or the table had flipped up or the sign had fallen, like these are parts of the chaos. I come from the film industry, so I'm used to the chaos. I'm used to like just endless time expanding, contracting, all these things being thrown at me. So this was a really, really great way to just understand what was happening, right? They were very positive, very fun, cool, dressed, ready to play. It was great. And I nudged a little bit for the subscribers. This was the woman who actually didn't have the YouTube account, and now she's on Instagram. So I still got my subscriber. She got to play, and it was just awesome, right? So we keep going.
If you want to guess, just subscribe to the channel.
Pushing the subscribers, because that's for me, right? Like, I want to grow this channel, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear people's thoughts. I want to hear their ideas and their opinions, and maybe there's a collaboration, or maybe there's a longer experiment that we can do. I can learn just as much from you as we can learn from this little segment together.
On Instagram, bro.
And here you go. So this is the man in the glasses. His name is Jay, and he's the one who did the interview of me on the street, and he just put me on the spot, and I had to shill this Cigcola Labs experiment as hard as I could, and I think I did a pretty good job. So it'll be down below in the description, and feel free to take a look at that. But I just want to recognize that because of this group, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missing off the screen, 6 people now looking at the experiment. And if you look in the back, here's somebody who's looking right at the experiment. So groups of people create attention. Groups of people create this sort of awareness and curiosity. And that's really important moving forward. Taking a guess. 2 guys just showing up. Great style. Just taking their time,
Cigcola
having
Labs.
fun with it. Here was an interesting group. I saw, one thing about groups is when I had 3 or 4 people together and I would say, hey, guess what's in the jar? One person's like, no. One person's like, what jar? One person's like, maybe. One person's like, 3,000. One person's like, do it. And urging their friends to do it. Eventually, 1, 2, 3, and then in the back 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8 pulled up chairs and sat next to the activation. Just great, right? And it's just an awesome experience to see.
Who is bro?
Who is bro? It's my favorite line of the whole video. I think these were the last 2 of the day. They were very excited. They were just really curious and interested. And, I said the whole thing. And by then I'd kind of understood what I'm trying to say a little bit more. So it came off a little bit better. And it was just a good interaction. And then the final guess, or the final clip of the video, is just like a man walking by. He didn't have YouTube, he didn't even have a phone, but he just wanted to play, he just wanted to guess, and it was just a happy interaction. And you know what, just be friendly, just be kind. It's not always transactional. It's not always about how many subscribers you have or how much money you make. It's just making people happy and curious for the day, right? So we had a little nice back and forth.
It's pretty close.
He guessed 2,000. I'm like,
it's not
no,
the
that's
right
not
number, but
really
it's
it.
pretty
But,
close. Have a nice day, man.
great day. And went back to my table, just make sure everything's nice for everybody else. So the final piece of this video is the experiment itself. You have experiment 1, guess the stars. When I had X here, I hadn't figured out what's actually going to be in the jar. Here are all the things that I bought or had to get from my studio. You had the table, the banner, the jar, which was $6.71, including tax, the items, which was the $10, the guest box, which was free. I got stationery from my studio. I got the table from my studio, the banner from my studio, and my little diagram of what we're gonna do, just so I can figure it out in my head. I'm a visual person. And then here at the bottom and at the top is the totals, right? So spent $16.71, subs, we got 22, and we spent 2 hours on the street. And that works out to around 77 cents per subscriber. And that excludes any production costs or gas driving or camera, because I did camera work myself. The time, people get paid hourly. So these are all things that we have to keep into consideration if we're ever, when we take this to, pitch other companies and scale the idea, is that all these costs are going to have to be put on paper. And then just the idea, like, you can sell your ideas. It's the idea that makes the whole concept valuable. It's not just doing it, it's having a real idea to move forward and get it done. So that was experiment one. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you're watching this video, and this is essentially the format that we're going to do moving forward. I like this sort of candid speaking to the camera about the project. It's not easy. It's just showing and helping me learn what I'm doing while also explaining what I'm doing, because that's really important for people to get it, so you can follow along the journey and get inspired to create your own things as well. That is of utmost importance. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the experiment. If you're already subscribed, there'll be an email being sent out on to where the next one is. Come out and play, bring a friend. Maybe on that one, if you bring a friend, you can get 2 guesses if you can prove that you brought a different friend. And, we're just going to build this up, and hopefully as time progresses, we're going to be creating bigger and I guess better looking activations in public or in private. There's a lot that can be done with this, and I'm just happy to have everybody on this journey. So, like, share, subscribe, and see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.